It's now tier list time, ladies and gentlemen, for My Hero Ultra Impact, and we're going to be judging all of the current UR characters in the game based on how good or bad they are in PvP, aka Ultra Arena. Now, the way that we're going to be doing tier lists from here on out is we're going to be focusing on tier lists for each game mode, such as Ultra Arena and VE Tower. If you really want to see USJ, we'll do USJ as well. Let me know down in the comments down below if you want to see that. But mainly VE Tower and PvP, because those are the modes where you guys want to see the best units possible to get those points for VE Tower, to help you climb the rankings in PvP, and so on and so forth. So before we go and get started, make sure you guys go down there, click that red subscribe button, make sure it says subscribe, click that bell, turn on all of those beautiful notifications, that way you don't miss out on any future videos, as well as drop a like and comment. Do you agree or disagree with my Ultra Arena tier list, and how would you change it down below? So yes, here today we're going to be judging all of the UR characters currently at the time recording this video based on how good or bad they are in Ultra Arena. So let's just go ahead and get started. These videos can be quite long sometimes. So first up, red and yellow Deku. No. They are basically self-inflicting units. You don't want them. You don't want units that basically damage themselves or your team. And speaking of that, let's just do this. Yeah, let's just put Kaminari down there because he also does things. You don't want Kaminari self-inflicting your team. You don't want Deku damaging himself because, again, when it comes to PvP, you want to end up not losing a member of your team because you want to get that perfect score to get the highest points amount possible and also to get the highest amount of medals possible for the shop. So having self-inflicting units, definitely not the most fantastic thing in the world to have. So for that reason, those three immediately delist, as well as VE Tower All Might. I hate to do it to him. He was really cool when he came out. It was like he's the first free UR character, but he's just not really that good. In terms of Ultra Arena, at least, he's really just not that good. So that's why he has to go that low. So Air Force Deku is still a really good unit. He has really good speed, especially if you max him out in ADV. He's gonna have 529 speed, nearly 7,000 power. Again, he's super good. Also, if you want to know all the units, kits, information, all characters are on the website now. Link in the description down below if you want to check out the Ultra Impact database website. So again, all the characters are there. So again, Air Force Deku, he is, I wouldn't say he's S tier. He's definitely not amazing. He's definitely not going to be a huge advantage in PvP, especially with a lot of green running around these days. Sometimes, you know, green, yeah, especially, and as well as his kit also is dependent on if your opponents have like speed reduction, and it's okay. He does decrease critical rate, he does decrease speed, which decreasing speed does come in handy, but he's definitely not amazing. So I'm gonna put him in A. I definitely think he's good, but he's not the best. So World Heroes Mission Deku. This guy, we all know what this guy is like, right? We all know, right? Like, come on. World Heroes Mission Deku, he was pretty much just considered the worst World Heroes mission when he came out. So his plus ultra is dependent on if you're facing a villain to get that skill impact increase. So if you're not facing villains too much in PvP, that's really not a great thing. He does increase, his first action skill is dependent on your speed. So, which is skill impact is increased relative to character speed. Just for that, just because I hate the speed dependent characters, and because of that, I would put him in C. If he didn't have that speed dependency, he probably would at least be a B, but I'm gonna have to put him in C. He's just not that great of a character. Again, I really wish he was better considering he was a limited character, but it is what it is. Now this character here, the Ichiban Kuji Deku, I've never actually had a chance to use him too much on JP when he came out. I do have him on global though, and I've gotten a chance to kind of test him out here and there. He does give your character the ability to make last stand. I mean, he also increases character skill impact by 20% when using a skill chain, so that's all right. He increases characters in speed when your HP is below 50%. So you again, in PvP, you don't want low HP. So just because of that, it's really kind of annoying to get that first auto skill buff for this power and speed. Again, the ability to make last stand he's a last stand dependent character, but in PvP, you really don't want to do that. And just because of that, I would say he's pretty low on the list. I would say D, because again, you don't want to get to the point where you're last standing. It can be a clutch moment if you do survive on last stand to then knock out your opponent fully. That's a thing, but you don't want to end up in that situation a lot of the time, right? So that's just that. Blue Bakugo, I'm always going to advocate for him being at least an A tier, because he is, I would say high A to mid S, maybe high A, low S. Again, kind of floating in there, because he is a really good damage dealing unit. Again, if you have multiple waves of units, so if you defeat your opponent's characters with him, then he's going to get that power buff every time he beats a unit, right? So that's going to come in handy. But again, it just depends on him getting that, but he is still a pretty powerful character. So next up, we have the next Bakugo here. I know that now that I've had the chance to use him, I actually didn't get the chance to use him on JP a lot because I didn't actually pull him. But with Purple Bakugo, S tier. Now that I have had the chance to use him, my opinion has now changed of him. And I do believe he's a very good character, especially for the blinding, for increasing plus ultra gauge. He decreases defenses, because defense decrease is going to be very good in PvP. Get that damage dealing off as well. So that's just good. He also increases the skill impact per turn for a max of 40%. So that's really good. So for World Heroes Mission Bakugo, A. I do say he's A. He's obviously the better of the two between Deku and Bakugo. Obviously for Todoroki, I still say Todoroki is the best one, because Todoroki, hands down, best utility character as well. Bakugo is a good damage dealer, but I feel like he's a little frail. But again, he's definitely not awful. He's definitely not B territory. I definitely think World Heroes Mission Bakugo is at least an A. That's where I would put him as well, because he's going to have a chance to burn. He decreases opponent's critical rate. He's also going to increase character's skill impact. He's also going to be doing a lot of different things that actually do come in handy for PvP. He actually is going to be doing quite a bit of damage. So I do think that Bakugo is there. Again, World Heroes Mission Deku. Todoroki, like I said, Todoroki is by far the better of the World Heroes Mission characters, because he's going to be a utility for your team, because he's going to increase, he's going to do increasing your allies. He's going to lower the chance of all allies burning for 3 turns when the wave starts. He's going to do AoE attacks and a low chance of burn. He's also going to increase skill impact of all your allies. Again, he is just super cool, and his plus ultra has the chance to bind characters, so that's a good utility as well, and also a chance to freeze. So he's just a good overall utility character to have on your team, and he's also going to be increasing his power if there are any pro heroes on your team. Speaking of pro heroes, there's no doubt Aizawa, he is probably the best PvP character of all time, just because of his binding. He removes all the enemy buffs, or at least he removes buffs, right? That's what he does. Let me see. So it's his, so his plus ultra, he cancels all temporary buffs on the single opponent. So he's going to remove all that. He has a medium chance to seal. He also cancels 1 buff on the opponent for his first action skill. He has a medium chance of sealing on a second action skill if used in a skill chain. And then also he's going to be increasing power of pro hero allies and increasing his speed when HP is 50% or higher. So again, Aizawa for PvP, getting those seals off, getting those debuffs off, he's really good for PvP. So I don't think there's any question about Aizawa being the best overall. So Nezure. there's really no arguing with Nezure. She's a healer. She decreases your opponent's power of all characters, so she's debuffing. She's giving your regenerative HP every turn, and then she's also increasing the power of a selected ally that you choose. So Nezure is pretty much a very good supporting character, probably the best support character in the game best supporting character in the game. And Momo is pretty much right there alongside her with the STR Momo. But again, Nezure, super, super, super good. I definitely think she is, again, right there in S. I don't think there's any argument for Nezure not being an S at all. So there is that. So let's see here. Let's go to this Bakugo here, the yellow Bakugo. Now this Bakugo, I haven't actually had the chance to use him, but let's look at his kit real quick. So for PvP, what can he do? His skill impact is also increased by 20% on plus ultra when the character is not afflicted by speed down. So he cannot have a speed down, which if we're running into blue Momo, that can happen. He also increases his speed for 30% for 3 turns on his first action skill. He's also increasing critical rate of all allies for 3 turns, also increases plus ultra gauge in a skill chain, increases his power and skill impact when speed is increased. So you need a speed increase to get that first auto skill. And then his skill impact is increased every turn. So this Bakugo, again, having that first auto skill be based on speed for that power buff is very hurting a little bit. So I would say, I would probably put him in C. That's probably where I'd go with him. He's definitely not like D awful, but he's definitely not great. He's not good. Well, he's good. He's good. He's not great. He's not fantastic. He's not the best, but he's okay. He's okay. He's definitely not bad. So green Ochako. A. Ochako's giving your characters evade. She's a healer. She has counters. There's really no reason not to put her in A. The only thing that keeps her from being S, I would say, is, again, she doesn't have a lot of support. She doesn't have like power buffing or anything like that. She's giving you evade. She's healing. That's kind of it, right? She does increase her own power by 35%, but that's really about it. She also is a green type buffer. She's not like an all ally buffer just for green types. So that kind of gives that a little bit of hurt. But so Ochako, I would say, is A tier. She is kind of a formidable opponent in PvP as well. So I would say she's about A. Kirishima's, let's just get these out of the way. Kirishima's, like, both of them. I do love blue a little bit better. I accidentally hit the presentation mode. There we go. I do like blue just a smidge bit better, but I do love the red one as well, especially when you tackle red with red Momo here. Man, those two in combo are just insanely good. Momo for the extra damage reduction on top of red's damage reduction. PvP is nutty if you have those two. Also, speaking of red Momo, A tier. She's not super fantastic. Like Ochako, she has her use cases. She has those things that she does very well. And again, if you're putting her with red Kirishima as well, her and red Kirishima just, you're not taking a lot of damage, or at least Kirishima's not taking a lot of damage because Kirishima's getting double damage reduction. He has counters. Well, Momo is just really good. I've had a chance to use her now for quite a while since her release, and she's really good. So for green Todoroki, A tier. He's a very decent damage dealer. He's not the fastest. I do say he does lack a little bit on the speed. Let's see, what is his speed? He has 413. Yeah, 513 max ADV. So he is lacking a smidgen in the speed department, so he could get a little bit more of that. He can freeze and burn the opponents. He also has a chance to increase his power when using the skill chain. He has a medium chance of burning again. Also increases his plus ultra gauge. He also once per battle increases plus ultra gauge when HP is 50% or higher. So after that once, that's pretty irrelevant. And then he also increases his power when HP is 50% or below. And also has a chance to freeze the opponent for 1 turn if HP is below 30% when attacked. So there's that. He is really good. I would say he's A tier. That's where I'll put him at. So this Todoroki here, what type is this Todoroki? Purple. So the purple Todoroki, what does he do? I haven't had a chance to use him too much in PvP because I've been trying to test out a lot of the newer units first. So he has a low chance of burning on his plus ultra. He has a critical skill impact of his plus ultra skill increased by 40% when landing a critical hit. So that's dependent on him landing a critical hit. His first action skill increases character's critical rate by 30% for 3 turns. So that's that. Let's take a look at this. I'll put this on screen for you guys, my bad. But yeah, he's dependent on that critical rate here as well. He has to hit a critical, and then he can increase his critical rate here. He has a medium chance of freezing, increases character's critical rate. So he does increase it, and he also increases his plus ultra gauge. So if you get this critical buff here, If you happen to land the critical hit, you then get that critical skill impact of his plus ultra increased. He increases his power and speed for 3 turns after landing a critical hit. So again, dependent on criticals. Increases character's plus ultra gauge when battle starts. So again, heavily dependent on criticals. Again, I wouldn't say, I don't know. He's not, I wouldn't put him in B. Would I? I mean, he sounds like he could be really decent. Again, his stats are not too bad, but when it comes to overall utility, especially for a purple unit, I would say he's knocked down just a little bit. I'd say C tier, maybe a little higher than these two. Maybe this guy. Maybe Deku would be a little better. I don't know. I'm just gonna put him in C tier. I'm not really trying to judge units based on order. There's really no order to this. This is kind of just putting them where I put them. So for this Todoroki, the new redder Todoroki, that guy, I mean, he's a very decent utility unit. Let's see what he does. So he does get Frostbite. He increases skill impact by 40% if the opponent is burning. He also increases character plus ultra gauge, medium chance of that for 3 turns when he uses the skill chain. Frostbite can be good, but again, Frostbite is just very weird to deal with. He also decreases the speed of opponents, so that's going to be good. Then also reduces character action skill cooldown by 3 and increases their plus ultra gauge by 50% when HP is 50% or below. So just from that, this Todoroki is a very decent utility unit, but I'd put him at A. I wouldn't say he's quite S tier, but he does get off quite a good amount of damage. Probably he's probably a very good damage dealer. Look at 7,000 right here. So yeah, he probably will be very good damage wise, but again, his kit with Frostbite is just a very weird thing to get off. I think that's 20% damage of Frostbite added onto it. I think that's what that was. But again, I'd say he's A, if not a low S. I say he would hover around low S to high A, or at least an A to low S, roughly there. So Asui, C. She's all right. She can land some criticals, but other than that, Asui's not really that good. She hasn't been good since her release that much, but again, decreases opponent's critical hit rate and defense. That can be decent. Again, for the defense drop, that's fairly nice for PvP. I feel like she's a lot nicer for VE Tower. The camouflage is cool. Also increases all allies' critical rate. She increases the plus ultra gauge of all blue type allies when the battle starts. Again, this can be useful, but I feel like this was more I feel like she's more VE Tower oriented than PvP. So I would say she's a C. If not, maybe a low B. So blue Momo, I mean, just like everybody else, her and the red Momo literally are A because they're literally just the speed decreaser and a healer. That's what she does. Literally what she does. And just super good unit, right? Let's go look at blue Momo. She's a blue type buffer. She decreases speed. She restores allies HP. Increases plus ultra gauge of all allies. Again, just prevents all allies from getting status ailment 1 time. Again, she's useful. I'd say, again, A along with the red. Tokoyami. Tokoyami. This guy, I haven't had a chance to use this guy too much, but he's going to decrease opponent's critical rate, decreases opponent's critical skill impact for 20% for 3 turns. He's going to decrease opponent's defense, so that's not bad. That actually might be good for PvP. He's going to increase character's normal attack skill impact, so for 3 turns. It also gives the ability to use 2 normal attacks, so he basically attacks twice with his normal attacks, so that's pretty cool. He's going to increase character's power and speed by 30% when you have the normal attack, so you use this, then you get this buff. So I would say he's not too bad. I haven't had a chance to use him. I'd say he's probably maybe a like high C, low B. He's definitely not best. He's not A tier. I know he's not A tier. I'd say he's B. Literally because of this decreasing in defense. Then you also got the critical rate, right? Then the skill impact. Again, I would still say he's about that. Also, I'm running on time here, so I'm going to try and get through these a little bit more quicker. Mirio, A, because he has that evade, right? So let's just look at Mirio real quick, just to kind of tell you what I'm talking about. Mirio, again, he's going to have a chance to confuse. He has a chance to reduce opponent's power. He also has a chance to evade. He also gives himself the ability to evade and increases character skill impact. And then also, yeah, gives character ability to evade 2 times. So again, that character evading is nice. He's pretty decent, so I'll put him there. Sun Eater, I did like him. I would say he's low A, because Sun Eater can be really decent. He is a cover unit as well as an MND buffer. Again, he has a medium chance to bind and also decrease the opponent's defense. Again, that can be very useful for PvP, even VE Tower, but he also has the chance to decrease opponent's speed and also gives the ability to cover. That alone, that's why I think he's at least an A, or at least a very low A, because he can decrease defense, decrease speed, and then he covers. So again, he's not going to be someone that you're going to use over the Kirishimas by any means, but I feel like if you don't have any of the Kirishima, he is a very solid alternative. So that is that. So we have Shinzo here next. Let's look at Shinzo. I actually don't have Shinzo on global, so I haven't had a chance to use him quite a bit yet. So Shinzo, again, he's kind of like an Aizawa. He has the chance to confuse. He has a low chance of binding on his action skill. He can also decrease opponent's plus skill impact. And then also he can cancel a temporary buff and decrease the defense and also decrease opponent's speed. So that can be pretty useful. I would say he's better than Tokoyami. I would say he's at least a B. I would say he's better. The Red All Might. Red All Might, I'd say he's pretty good. I'd say he's a little better than the Mirio. So I put him in A. Purple Aizawa. Not the most fantastic. Let's see here for Endeavor. Endeavor's pretty decent. I'll put him in A. Green Hawks. Green Hawks. Let's see. Where would I put you? I don't think there's a question about where I put Green Hawks. I mean, Green Hawks is pretty good. He's literally a DPS, man. That's literally where he's gonna be. So for Blue Hawks though, I don't know. Not a lot of people liked Blue Hawks too much when he came out. Also his relative to speed, I really hate this. Also Hawks I think is kind of buggy at the moment. I'd say I put him at least a high B. So let me put him up here. I'd say that's where he is right now, high B, until they fix him, because I want to know what he'll be like when they fix him, because I think he is a bit buggy at the moment because of the way that they actually have him working right now with this stuff. I think that the relative for character speed is a bit busted or something broken. So I want to wait till if there is an announcement that they fix that. If there is no announcement and they fix that, then the next tier list I'll adjust this, but I definitely think he's okay. Shigaraki, I would say purple Shigaraki. I mean, he's a League of Villain character, right? I mean, he can be pretty good. I do think the red one is a little higher than that one. So I think red Shigaraki is going to be B. I think both of them are B, but I would put the purple Tomura just under. I put them like this in that kind of order. That's kind of where I'd be going. Dabi. This dude can hit 999. Dabi is pretty good. Hellfire is amazing for Dabi. The self-inflicting damage a little bit. He does reduce burn damage to himself, so that's where he kind of saves himself a little bit. He does still deal damage to himself, but again, it'd be a lot worse. But Dabi, I think, is a high A. He's a very, very good DPS. Toga, I'd say I'd put her at. She's above Kaminari. I'd say I'd put her here. Green Toga, I'd say B. I think I'd put her right. I think I'd put her right here. All for One's kind of same thing. Put him at B. And then All for One. I mean, overhaul. Overhaul is. I have to remember what he does. Again, yeah, pausing. Yeah, power decrease, fear, defense. Yeah, never mind. He's a nice villain. I just think he needs a lot more villains to work with. Yeah, I think if he had a lot more villains to work with, he would go a little bit higher, but I think he's A at the bare minimum. He's A, if not low S. That's kind of where I'm judging him right now. And then for this Todoroki, I'd say C. He's all right. But other than that, I really don't think he's too fantastic. I didn't particularly like that Todoroki, especially when he came out. I thought he was okay. But other than that, yeah, I don't really think there's anything. Actually, I put this Toga at C. I think Toga would be, I think she's a good bit better. She does have better uses in other places, but for PvP, I think C is, low C is probably where she'd be. I think that's pretty much where I'd put her. But let me know down in the comments down below if you agree or disagree with my tier list. Let me know down there. Again, this is just strictly for PvP. We're going to do VE Tower next, so stay tuned for that. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a fantastic day.